Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This channel is dedicated to finding out whether I really do know it all or not. Make sure you ask questions in the comments or at my email address, which is in the description or at the end of the video. So watch the video. There you go. Today, in an ongoing exploration of things related to the crisis that's happening right now, I'm going to go to a slightly more specific thing than all of these general topics I've been covering, and that is what is going to happen to Tesla, the motor car company, the electric car company. I've seen a lot of interest in that, and somebody asked me, so I figured I'd go ahead and I would answer that as far as I can tell. So I think I'm going to just sort of break this into the bad for Tesla, the good for Tesla, and my prediction for what's going to happen to Tesla. Okay, so we'll start with the bad. The bad is that nobody's probably going to be buying cars for now. I expect that, I don't know. I expect that there's not a lot of cars being sold. I saw in China in like January and February, it was down 80% from the normal of like last year or the year before or something. So that's just drastic. I heard in the United States, the prediction is only 20% less. So I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. I have a feeling it'll be more than that. But anyway, so no cars being sold is definitely a bad thing. Tesla is a smaller company. It's got a smaller market share than the other car companies. So that's definitely also a negative, I think. It also might be a positive, so we can talk about that in the next section also. But certainly being a smaller company means that they don't have quite the clout and maybe not the reserves that other car companies have. And the third bad thing is that one of the reasons why people buy Teslas is for environmental reasons, or environmentalist reasons or something, and there's not going to be as much of that concern right now. It's a sad thing. Certainly we should definitely all still be concerned about the environment no matter what, but there's just a tendency, you know, when you're worried about other things, there's a tendency for people to worry about other stuff before environmentalism. So they worry about selfish things before they worry about global things. So that's definitely on the negative balance sheet for Tesla. You can see that their stock has gone down, I think, excessively. I actually own one whole share of Tesla. It's a pretty expensive share. So anyway, so I mean, I guess you could say I have some vested interest in this, but it's tiny. But, you know, just for full disclosure, I do actually own one share of Tesla. So anyway, on the good, Tesla has a lot of cash. I think I saw it was about $10.5 billion if you take account of a bunch of different things. They made a very wise decision, probably Elon Musk, made a wise decision, like as opposed to the airline companies that spent the last decade doing stock buybacks to increase the price of their shares. He actually was selling more stock, and he was improving their cash situation. And in a crisis like this, you got to have cash. So the fact that they have cash is a hugely important thing. They also have not been able to meet demand, right? The Model Y just came out, and I think the prediction is like years of production before they're going to catch up. The Model 3, they've only just started to catch up with demand, and I still don't think they're even making the basic model of the Model 3 yet. So they're still working on only the more advanced models. And certainly the Cybertruck has, the last I heard was over 200,000 pre-orders for the Cybertruck. So even if there's a crash in demand, like let's say just half of that just evaporates, that means that there's still going to be a lot of demand, and probably they're going to do pretty well. They're in a lot better shape than other car companies. Like, I mean, Ford and GM, for example, other American car companies are in dire straits because they've got around the same amount of cash, $10 to $20 billion as Tesla, but they have a massive amount of long-term debt, like $100 billion. I think GM has about $60 to $70 billion of long-term debt, and Ford has like over $100 billion in long-term debt. Those are going to drag those companies. Honestly, I could see the companies either going out of business or getting a governmental bailout like happened in 2008 with a lot of industries. So I think that Tesla's going to actually do okay on that end of things, right? So their cash debt relationship is certainly much better than the other American car companies, at least. I don't know as much about like German, Italian, and Chinese or Japanese car companies, but anyway. So yeah, I think that there's an advantage. There's also a huge advantage, which is that even though the Fremont, California factory has been closed temporarily due to obvious restrictions that are going on. The Chinese one is operating, I believe, at 90+% efficiency right now, and they're churning out somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 Model 3s per week. So, you know, Tesla could end up doing pretty well after all of this, because if they can keep cranking out cars, and they have more demand than they can even fulfill at this point, then they have the opportunity of actually potentially increasing their market share over time, as opposed to decreasing it. And hopefully they will actually come out in a situation where they won't be too far in debt, like other car companies are. So anyway, we will see what happens. As you can probably tell from what I've said so far, my prediction is that they're going to do just fine. I think Tesla is going to do dandy. If that wasn't the case, I probably would have sold my whopping 1 share of Tesla stock so far. I think it'll be interesting to revisit this in 1 year or 2 years, but I honestly think, you know, one of the other things about Tesla is that it sells online, right? So that's something that people can still do. People who have the means to spend $40,000 upwards of $100,000 on a car are more than likely, I hate to say this, but they're not going to get hurt as badly by this whole crisis, because probably either the jobs are more secure or there's more money in the bank and so forth. So I think people who are in the buying range for Teslas, as opposed to buying the $15,000 to $20,000 cars, are going to be less affected by this, and they can shop online, as opposed to like every other auto company. You have to go to the dealership, and you can't go to the dealership right now, right? Most states have outlawed that. You can't go and do something. So these places are scrambling to try to come up with an online presence so people can continue to purchase cars. But meanwhile, Tesla is just like, yep, this is what we've always done. We're good to go. So I think that that's also a crucially important aspect of this, is that Tesla has been doing this for years, and that's the way they operate. And people can keep buying cars at Tesla. So that's going to do great. So yeah, I think they're actually going to do well. I think they're actually going to come out of this crisis better compared to other car manufacturers than they are right now, which probably translates to a larger market share. Depending on how long this lasts, everyone could be affected by it, and so they might not do fantastically overall, but I think relative to the other American car manufacturers, at least, they're going to do just dandy. All right, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you ask questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. And also, please make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. I appreciate it. Till next time, bye-bye.